They're tough guys, but some police officers saw something that freaked them out and they captured it on camera.
When you're out on patrol, you never know what might be lurking in the darkness. Figures that seem to materialize out of thin air, strange noises that echo through empty streets, or eerie shadows that seem to move with a life of their own. Tonight, we're sharing some of the most chilling encounters that have left even the bravest on edge. This seems like an unusual creature, its form shifting and twisting in ways that defies explanation. But now, people think it might even be an alien. Discovered by cops, this was found somewhere in Miami. No one had seen anything like it before, and as the cops inched closer, the figure seemed to become more surreal. None of it made sense. There were no footprints, no clues, no signs of where it might have come from. It was as if the creature had simply materialized out of thin air. The officers were left staring, their radios silent as they struggled to process what they saw. To this day, no one has been able to explain the encounter. Fear confirmed.
Look how I saw that shit. I saw that shit.
This video was revealed by a security guard who was convinced he was being haunted, though no one believed him at first. Right at the beginning, you can spot a faint, transparent silhouette in the bottom right corner, and it seems like the guard wasn't the only one who noticed it. He quickly stands up, clearly feeling a presence nearby. He later described feeling the air grow colder, as if something messed with the thermostat, and he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him. But when he checked the area, nothing or no one was there to confirm his experience, until he pulled the security tapes.
See, I saw that shit, and I'm like, and then it disappeared over there by the desk.
Bold visitor. When a door suddenly opens on its own, most people would chalk it up to the wind. But when there's no breeze and the doors are securely locked shut by a heavy bolt, you know something far more sinister is at play. These hospital workers had no choice but to witness the eerie unfolding before them. One of them wisely left the room, but when you're dealing with an invisible force that has the strength to tear doors off their hinges, you quickly realize you're not as safe as you might think. Could this be the spirit of a long-past patient seeking revenge for mistreatment by a careless doctor? Or is something else entirely at work? Invisible gym freak. A bizarre video quickly went viral, leaving viewers both amused and uneasy. A chest press machine in an empty park appeared to move on its own, as if an invisible person was rigorously working out. The eerie footage caught so much attention that even local police arrived at the scene, trying to unravel the mystery. With no one around to explain the strange activity, people began speculating whether an unseen entity had decided to embrace fitness, or if something paranormal was unfolding. The machine's rhythmic motion in the dead of night left many unsettled, questioning the true nature of the park's mysterious visitor. Ghostly companion. This eerie footage comes from a security officer working the night shift at an old hospital, a place famous for paranormal activity. Locals believe former patients still wander its hallways. During his shift, the guard recorded a video. At the time, he noticed nothing unusual. However, upon reviewing the video, he spotted something chilling. A ghostly figure just outside his second-floor window. The face of an elderly woman appeared, staring straight at him. What made it more terrifying was that his office had no ledge or platform outside the window, making it impossible for anyone to be there. Some believe this was the spirit of a former patient, revisiting the place where she spent her final days. The security guard is certain he captured proof of something unexplainable that night. Spirit talk. This video filmed at Rio Shopping in Mexico. A security guard was patrolling the mall when he unexpectedly encountered something strange. It looked like he was talking to someone. The unsettling part was that whoever he was talking to wasn't visible on the footage. According to him, he encountered a young girl. He even seemed to comfort her by patting her head to make her feel at ease. After a while, the guard contacted his colleagues to let them know about the girl, but they dismissed it, claiming the cameras showed no one with him. Moments later, he hurriedly ran from the area. Saint Haunted.
Hello?
This is one of the oldest and most chilling ghost encounters. The video was taken by a patrolman who decided to veer off his usual route and walk by an old church known for holding funeral processions and similar rites. As he approached the pews, he noticed a lone figure sitting silently, but the moment the woman turned her head, he immediately knew something wasn't right. He had to leave. Now, while his reaction might seem a bit dramatic or exaggerated, the same guard reportedly fell ill that night and struggled to recover for weeks. Some say it was because he was haunted, while others believe the spirit simply wasn't pleased at being disturbed.
Hello?
Misty figure. While monitoring the area, security guards were shocked to see a strange figure appear right in front of the building they were watching. A woman, whose identity and origin were completely unknown, seemed to materialize on the property. Within moments, she vanished as mysteriously as she had arrived. Some believe this was a ghostly apparition, a spectral figure walking through the scene, while others think it could have been a confused woman in a nightgown who somehow snuck onto the premises without the guards noticing. The true nature of what was captured remains a mystery, leaving room for endless speculation. Asylum's drip. One guard's first shift at an old mental asylum turned out to be his last. As he patrolled the dim, creaky corridors, something unusual happened. One of the heavy gates slowly creaked open, seemingly on its own. Now, I know what you're thinking. Maybe it was just the wind, or maybe it was a restless patient, right? But the guard didn't hesitate. He immediately handed in his resignation. Why? Because there were no ventilation systems in that part of the building. This place was over 100 years old, and at that time, no patients were even being held in that section. Whatever it was that caused that gate to move, it was enough to shake a brave man. Night shift encounter. This eerie security footage comes from a guard working late one evening. According to his account, he saw something strange approach the guardhouse. It wasn't walking, more like floating. Curious and a bit unnerved, he stepped outside to investigate. But just as suddenly as it appeared, the entity vanished. Spooked, the guard rushed back inside and reviewed the security recording. What he found left him shaken. The footage showed a ghostly figure moving toward the guardhouse before it seemed to disappear into thin air. Strangely, as it vanished, two glowing orbs could be seen rising into the air. What do you think this mysterious phenomenon could be? Fleeting smoke. A local police department near a forested area next to a playground recently shared an unusual incident after receiving multiple reports from residents about strange happenings at the playground and sightings of unidentified creatures in the woods. The officers started closely monitoring their security footage. One evening, the cameras captured something truly bizarre. The footage showed a strange figure emerging from the shadows. The entity moved slowly and irregularly, with unnaturally long limbs and a grayish hue. The recording ended as the figure slowly retreated back into the forest. No one is certain what exactly was caught on camera that night. Ghostly ward. A security camera captured something strange on camera inside a hospital room, and what makes the video even more unsettling is that a patient had passed away in that very room just the night before. At first, it might seem like a spiderweb moving in front of the camera, but upon inspection, the hospital staff confirmed there were no cobwebs in the room. Some suggested it could be light bouncing off something, but the timing of the event right after the patient's last moments raises even more questions. Whatever it was, it left the footage shrouded in mystery. Hiding spirit. Airport workers were renovating a closed-off section of the airport when they began reporting something strange. Sightings of a little girl wandering the upper floors. Worried that someone might be sneaking into the restricted area, they called an officer to investigate. While searching through the empty wing, the officer caught something chilling on camera. The footage showed what looked like a young girl's face peering through one of the locked doors. Since no one should have been able to enter that area, questions arose. A real person who somehow got in, or something more supernatural? I'll leave it for you to decide. Genderuo. The cameraman walked past an abandoned house, his eyes fixed on the ground floor. Out of the shadows, a figure appeared, tall, dark, and still. It stood there, watching him, its presence heavy and unnerving. The figure didn't move, but it felt off, glaring at the man with intense hatred. The shape had an unsettling presence, dark, almost intangible, yet unmistakably there. Some began to speculate it might be something more than just a shadow. Could it be a genderuo? In Javanese folklore, these mythical creatures are said to be large, hairy trickster spirits with supernatural abilities, often associated with mischief and eerie encounters, well, as long as he got out safely. Weightless car. While on a walk, a man witnessed an incredible sight. Two individuals approached a parked car and, using nothing but their bare hands, began lifting it. The two men didn't struggle or seem exerted as they effortlessly carried the car off to a different location. Some speculate that these individuals might have extraordinary physical abilities, or perhaps some kind of advanced technology was at play, making the feat possible. Others suggest it could be a prank, with hidden tools or equipment enabling them to appear superhuman. Regardless, the scene was undeniably strange, leaving people to wonder about the true nature of what was captured. Dark figure. A security officer started noticing strange things happening at his new job at a storage facility. One of the first weird events he captured was a pair of pale feet appearing in a stall. At first he didn't see them, but after a few seconds they were visible. Out of curiosity, he explored an abandoned warehouse nearby where the paranormal activity got worse. A bottle crashed to the floor, followed by a woman's cry and another terrifying roar. Terrified, the officer quit his job, but on his last night, things got worse. He filmed a figure of a woman in the corner, and just as they locked eyes, the footage ended. What really happened to him remains a mystery. Spirit apparition. A chilling CCTV recording from outside a police station's parking lot captured something truly unsettling. Across the street, a house stood quiet in the dim night. Suddenly, a strange white smoke began to rise, seemingly from the chimney. But as the officers reviewed the footage, it became clear this wasn't normal. The smoke started to shift and twist, forming a shape disturbingly similar to a human figure. It lingered briefly before vanishing into the air. The officers were left stunned, convinced they had witnessed something unexplainable. Could this be the spirit of someone tied to the house, or was it just an eerie coincidence? Hiding entity. A man ventured into an old cemetery, hoping to capture some eerie visuals with his camera. As he scanned the area, something strange happened. His camera recorded a humanoid figure peeking from behind a tombstone. The figure quickly hid, almost as if it understood the need to avoid being seen. The man, completely alone in the cemetery, felt a chilling realization. Whatever he had caught on camera wasn't human. Whether it was a restless spirit bound to the graveyard, a creature lurking in the shadows, or something entirely otherworldly, its presence left an unsettling mark on his exploration. Ghost on board.
No mames.
While finishing his night shift, an employee was conducting a routine check on a plane in Mexico City. After hearing strange noises and doors slamming, he went to investigate. As he moved down the dark aisle, shining his torch, a shadowy figure suddenly appeared, peering around the corner at him. The unsettling footage shows Francisco frozen in fear, left trembling by the encounter.
No mames.
Could it have been a ghostly presence haunting the plane, or was there a more logical explanation behind the mysterious noises and sighting? The eerie event has left many questioning the unexplainable. In the window. A group of friends out for a walk found this old, abandoned mansion. The surrounding area was unnervingly silent, with no sign of life. As they were looking at the building, one of them noticed something unsettling, a pale face partially hidden behind the curtains. It appeared unnatural, as though the house held something far more sinister than just neglect. The friends watched in horror as the face seemed to acknowledge the camera, then slowly moved away, vanishing from sight. Frozen in shock, they were left wondering if they just encountered a ghost or something far darker. Mystery face. A child's face staring directly into the lens. It brought to mind the eerie stories bus drivers often share about spotting passengers in the back seats, only to find the seats empty when they go to check. The video quickly spread across social media and even caught the attention of local news stations. Is this a supernatural occurrence, or is there a more ordinary explanation behind what we're seeing? Hospital presence. Surgeons were casually talking outside a storage room late one evening when the camera caught something unsettling. As they chatted, a dark humanoid figure swiftly walked past the frame, disappearing into the shadows. The strange part? No one else had access to the room at that time, and the hallways were empty. The guy recording, now curious and uneasy, decided to investigate further. He entered the room but found it completely empty. As he stood there, a small trolley, previously stationary, suddenly began to move across the floor. It rolled slowly, almost as if pushed by invisible hands. The entire room felt colder, and the unsettling atmosphere lingered long after. The question remained, was this hospital haunted by something not of this world, or was there another explanation? Open portal. This eerie footage was captured on a home security camera, and the witness was stunned when he reviewed the footage. A glowing orb or a portal seemed to open up, and as it did, strange static electricity affected the camera, causing a noticeable distortion. A faint buzzing sound can be heard as the orb flickered in and out of focus. After about 30 minutes, it slowly faded away, leaving no trace behind. The homeowner didn't see anything like it again. What this phenomenon could be, whether paranormal, extraterrestrial, or something else entirely, remains unanswered, leaving viewers to wonder what exactly was captured in that unsettling footage. Haunted building. Captured by a security guard during his night shift, the footage showed something unusual on the 4th floor window of an office building. The guard, trying to contact his co-workers, noticed something unsettling. As the lights were off, he was unable to see anything. But then a shadow appeared, seemingly moving on its own. As he described hearing a strange noise, the figure suddenly disappeared from view, vanishing into thin air. The guard was left shocked, convinced that this was no ordinary intruder. With no logical explanation for what happened, it has left viewers confused. Restless patient. Hospital security staff had been receiving reports of mysterious voices coming from an empty room. One night, they decided to investigate. What they caught on camera was startling. A dark shape seemed to appear out of nowhere. The staff noted that the temperature suddenly dropped as they were filming, and they couldn't explain what they were seeing. Was this just a strange camera effect, or did the hospital staff actually capture something supernatural? Let me know what you think. Break a leg. An explorer entered an abandoned building, recording his surroundings as he moved through the silent halls. Dust covered every surface, clearly long abandoned. After wandering for a while, he reached a deserted bathroom. The empty stalls added to the strange atmosphere, but something else felt off, like he wasn't alone. As he scanned the room, his eyes caught an unsettling sight. Under one of the stall doors, a pair of ghostly pale legs extended motionless. He stood frozen for a moment, trying to process what he was seeing. There were no sounds, no signs of movement, and the legs seemed to be somehow not there, and there at the same time. Thankfully, he was smart enough to leave. Hawaiian Odyssey. Just last year, Hawaii hosted a Halloween contest, challenging residents to submit proof of ghostly activity for a chance to win $100,000. Among the entries, one video stood out, a homeowner's ring camera footage. The clip shows a man walking up the stairs of a home, but his translucent appearance quickly makes it clear he's no ordinary visitor. He stumbles onto the porch, casually picks up a drink left outside, and takes a sip before tossing it aside. Moments later, he vanishes without a trace. As eerie as this already seems, the homeowner added another twist. She was right there when this happened, but didn't see anyone at all. What could explain this? A glitch in reality, or perhaps the ultimate Halloween guest? Parallel affair. A man was convinced the house across from his was haunted and made several calls to the police, but they dismissed his claims every time. Frustrated, he and his wife decided to capture proof themselves. Setting up a camera, they finally recorded what they'd been witnessing: ghostly figures moving throughout the house. Shockingly, it wasn't just one spirit, but several, appearing on different floors within moments. Even skeptics argued it could have been the homeowner, but the sheer speed of the movements ruled out any human explanation. After watching the footage, the couple felt validated, but their discovery raised more questions than answers. What else could be hiding in that house? Bound illumination. Watch what happens. As this woman waits by the elevator, an intense beam of light suddenly surrounds her, shining with an almost unearthly glow. It doesn't just seem like light, it feels alive, almost otherworldly. But then something chilling happens. She appears to be pulled through the beam, her movements not entirely her own. Moments later, she's found collapsed on the floor, completely unaware of what just occurred. Some believe she encountered a will-o'-the-wisp, while others think it might have been the spirit of an ancient soul bound to that spot. Whatever the truth, it leaves us wondering what unseen forces might still linger around us. Indoor horror. The Slender Man isn't just confined to dark, desolate forests. Rumors swirl that he haunts the hallways of hospitals and abandoned buildings, preying on unsuspecting victims. Don't believe it? This video might change your mind. Captured by a security guard patrolling a hotel under renovation, it shows something unmistakably humanoid at the end of the corridor. But was it truly human? The guard doesn't think so, especially when you notice the glaring exit sign in the background. And before you brush it off as a prank, take a closer look. The figure stands at least 7 to 8 feet tall, taller than most men, a challenge even for the NBA invisible plight. It's a terrifyingly common occurrence for night shift guards to assist people who seem completely real, but mysteriously never appear on CCTV. That's odd, especially since most cameras are thought to capture the unseen. Some paranormal enthusiasts believe that jinns and certain spirits purposefully take on human disguises to blend in with us, but their dual nature confuses the camera's lens, making them invisible to everyone but the one they want to talk to. In this case, the guard claims he helped an elderly woman who seemed harmless enough, until his fellow guards called him from other areas, telling him he was completely alone. Well, no wonder he had that reaction. Angelic. Person at home managed to capture a strange light on camera. At first it appeared as just a faint glow, soft and shifting, but as they watched closely, the shape began to form. From afar, it had a humanoid shape, though it was so translucent that it barely seemed there. It remained still, as if frozen in place, quietly observing the area. The light shimmered faintly, its edges faint and delicate. The person couldn't help but wonder, was this something more than just an unusual light? Could it be something otherworldly? Perhaps even angelic, a presence from beyond, quietly investigating before slowly fading away. Demonic hopper. A CCTV camera captured a mysterious black shadow moving just outside a dimly lit warehouse. At first, it appeared as nothing more than a flicker, something dark and indistinct, but as the footage played on, the shadow began to shift. It seemed to leap from the ground, lifting into the air and gliding silently as though hopping from one place to another. Now, if you pay a little attention, you'll realize that whatever this is has a very light humanoid shape to it, almost as if it's some sort of shapeshifter, and if it's capable of flight, who knows where it's headed, or what it'll do. Sneaky humanoid. In Japan, a seasoned police officer's life spiraled into chaos after investigating a haunted house. Whatever he encountered there, he believed it followed him home. Strange events began to unfold, objects flying across rooms and the sound of mysterious footsteps echoing through his apartment. Desperate for answers, he decided to uncover the truth. He placed traditional talismans around his home to ward off spirits, scattered flour on the floors to catch evidence, and set up cameras to record the eerie occurrences. What he found chilled him to the core. Footprints marked the flower, but the true horror was caught on video. A pale, ghostly figure hovering in the darkness. It floated motionless before vanishing into nothing. Moments later, the recording abruptly cut off. What had the officer unleashed? The ghostly presence remains a haunting mystery. Hereafter, route. Being a late-night bus driver is exhausting enough, but to see something that isn't there, well, that changes a person. Cameras, they say, have a way of capturing things our eyes can't, and it looks like that's exactly what happened here. The bus driver noticed a passenger sitting in the bus long after he'd passed the last stop and was headed toward the terminal. Thinking someone had just fallen asleep, he turned around, only to find there was no one there. Still unsure, he thoroughly scanned the bus, but there wasn't a trace of anyone else, just him. So who was riding that bus? Last night shift. Night shifts can feel lonely, but sometimes you're never truly alone. An administration worker was going about their routine when they welcomed a fellow worker, someone unfamiliar, and began chatting, sharing stories, laughing, and even pulling out a chair to help them sit. The interaction felt normal at first, like any other workday encounter. As the shift progressed, the worker didn't think much of it, continuing with their tasks. It wasn't until another colleague later pointed out that there was no one there that the shock registered. The worker reviewed the CCTV footage, and it became clear there was movement, something that wasn't quite visible at first. But who or what? Nobody knows. Rumors say he quit that day. Mannequin horror. Mannequins have always had this unsettling vibe, like they're watching, almost as if they're waiting for the right moment to move. Some even believe that spirits can enter mannequins, using them as temporary vessels. I'm not sure how much of that is real, but this video made me wonder. It was taken by a dressmaker in their newly rented workshop. Everything seemed fine at first, until they noticed something strange. A figure stood in the corner, with hand-like shapes hanging from its arms. It disappeared almost instantly, prompting a search, but nothing was found. Some viewers think it could have been a spirit hiding in one of the mannequins. Knocker's remorse. A woman had been hearing strange sounds and seeing fleeting shadows in her home for weeks, but she hadn't been able to figure out what was causing them. One night, she finally decided to investigate. At first, it seemed harmless, just the occasional tug on her blanket, but when she looked around, the room was completely empty. Then things took a darker turn. There was a soft knocking at the door, almost like someone was trying to get her attention. She stood still, listening carefully. She called out, but no one responded. What followed next sent a shiver down her spine. A pair of thin, dark hands seemed to slowly slip through the doorway. Well, that's enough to move out. Demonic touch. And just a few days later, the woman had another encounter with something strange, this time captured on her home security camera. Once again, there was a faint knocking at her door. Viewers watching couldn't help but point out that whatever was haunting her seemed intent on making itself known, almost as if it were trying to push her to the edge before making its move. But the real fear set in when she suddenly vanished, cutting off all communication and stopping her usual uploads entirely. Her silence raised serious concerns among her followers. Where had she gone? Was she safe? Nobody knows. Peer pressure. A group of officers was called to a local pier somewhere in the US. The call had been made by a passerby who claimed to have seen a distressed figure, but when the cops arrived, there was nothing in sight. After a few moments of silence, a faint light silhouette appeared, with its back turned to them, blending into the darkness. The officers called out but received only silence in return, prompting them to retreat. The next day, they returned to the pier, but found no evidence of anyone being there. Viewers speculate that they may have caught the lingering spirit of someone who had once vanished into the water, but the truth remains unclear. Grim visitor. Many hospital workers often report seeing a dark looming figure at the edge of a hallway when a patient is approaching their final moments. It's said that this figure is none other than the Grim Reaper, there to collect the souls of those transitioning and guide them to the afterlife. At first, I didn't buy into it. I thought it was just an old hospital myth, but after seeing this, I'm starting to believe otherwise. If it were a prank, who would be bold enough to pull something like that in a critical ward? And wouldn't the hospital administration have stepped in to stop it? As unsettling as it looks, it seems like this might actually be the Grim Reaper. Open discussion. Sometimes amateur explorers really end up pulling the short stick. This footage was captured by one such daredevil who thought it'd be a great idea to explore an abandoned hospital, alone. Yep, not the brightest bulb in the box. After hearing some scuffling behind him, he turned, expecting to find rats, or maybe even some other small animals. But instead, there it was, a dark, hunched-over figure draped in tattered hospital sheets. The figure quickly disappeared into a nearby hallway, but when the explorer decided to chase after it, he quickly realized it wasn't worth his time or his life. Smartest move he could have made. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like it and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.